Yeah. Maseches Bavekame, Merubeh, Daf Samechei Amud Beis, in the bottom of the page. Who is this? Who is our good friend? Let's see. Okay. So we have a, oh, here you are, Ellen. Samechei Amud Beis, we are in the last narrow line. This shiur is yeah, I think that's the right name. 1 second, please. Let me check it. Here's Leilunishmas Eliezer ben Avram Yuda Cohen of Imoyer Menachem ben Akiva and Rus Bas Shalom Soro Bas Moshe. לרפואת הילד נוח ליונל בן יוליה אוריה. בסוף שחר יודיס בס רבקה and שמואל. שמואל בסוף שחר ישראל. שמואל אברהם בן יודיס בסוף שחר ישראל. בסוף שחר ישראל. Amen. Now, a few introductions before we go into the real part of Merubah. First of all, Rav Baruch asked yesterday, actually last week, he asked the question, why did we say that according to Rabbi Yaakov in the previous brisa, Rabbi Yaakov said that when a person is both incriminated by Eidim and also admitted himself, then he has to pay both kefel because it's a knas because the Eidim discovered him and they spoke against him. And also he has to bring the chomesh, the osham, the fifth part, and the osham because he admitted it himself. Chachamim disagreed with that. Chachamim said the two never meet, and also did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Yaakov said you have to pay both, but if, according to Rashi, they happen to be the same amount, if the kefel and the chomesh are the same, and that could happen because of fluctuation of price, or because he admitted a few times, and he had 5 chomoshim accumulating, then we said you only have to pay 1. So Baruch said, what do you mean? How can you get away 2 for the price of 1? Is this Rami Levi? What's going on here? Yeah, well, Osher and yeah, what do you mean when you say 2 for the price of 1? So right, they should give me a lot of money here for the millions of views we have here. So now, I saw the Pnei Yeshua, not exactly an answer, but similar. Rabbi Yaakov also thinks like Chachamim that there is logic to the fact that you don't pay 2 together. Just like Chachamim say that kefel and chomesh are at loggerheads with each other because kefel means I was caught red-handed and I have to pay knas. Well, chomesh means just the opposite. Chomesh means I'm a good man, I admitted, and I have to have my own kapara, I have to have my own process with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. But the two are not the same. And therefore, even Rabbi Yaakov that says that sometimes they're saying, he sometimes agrees to Chachamim that they're not, that they don't go together. If they happen to be the same sum, then we say, okay, now the two are never friendly. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to make an introduction over here because I want to save a lot of questions in future. We're learning here about Ilchas Geneva, and the way the Torah looks at stealing is different to everything you were used to until now. Which means, what did we say up until now? And we'll say again and again. If a Ganev steals something, the object belongs to him. What does that mean? It means that we did a Kinyan Gezela. Kinyan Gezela means he did Mashicha, Agvo, Chotzer. Now it is Chayfetz, but the Torah says, Veheshiv, the Torah, the end of Vayikra says, you got to return it, baby. And therefore, he has to return the same object. Once it was Shinui, let's say he took a log of wood worth 2,000 shekels. That's an expensive piece of wood. And he turned it into the most beautiful, unbelievably amazing chair with his own hands. And now he's going to sell it to the market for, you know how much? 10,000. From 2,000 to 10,000. How much does he have to give back to the owner? It was koine b'shinui. Now the chair belongs to him and only to him. What about the 2,000 worth of wood that he stole? He has to pay back 2,000 cash or credit card or checks. He has to give back the 2,000. If he's a gazlan, if he's a ganav, if he was a hypocrite and he's scared of people more than of Hashem, he doesn't pay 2,000, he pays 4,000. He made an extra 6,000 shekels, and people keep asking me all the time, he's making money, he's making money. So listen to me carefully and don't faint, and I'll tell you, he made money and good for him. There's absolutely no problem with the fact that he made more money. You are the victim, you were stolen, 2,000 were stolen from you, yes. So now you get back 2,000. You know what? Because he's a ganav, he'll even compensate you 4,000. You made money on him. He stole 2, he gives back 4. He sold it to the Prince of Monaco and made 100,000 euros. So what? So what? That's just being emotional, and that's a goyish way of thinking of justice. The goyish way of thinking of justice is like we have to get to him and punish him, and he's the mean guy. No, halacha just wants to be fair. It just organize things. You lost 2,000, you'll get you 2,000. You lost 2,000, you may get 4,000, and that's about it. The fact he made more money is absolutely irrelevant. So please don't repeat this question because it's irrelevant to halacha and to hashkafa. And when I say something, which I told you before we get to the real deal over here, and you can still ask your questions because we're entering a certain country between China and South Korea soon for the next good few minutes. And I'll tell you one more thing. The Hebrew word for shofet, for judge, is shofet. Shofet is spelled shin vav pei tes. There's another word, says of Hirsch, shofet with a taf at the end, or shoifes in Ashkenazi pronunciation. Shofet with a taf means to place, to locate, mainly on the fire. Yeah, lishpot alesh means to place something on the fire, also in the Mishnah in Shabbos. Therefore, a shofet in Jewish court means that he's not a person who's there to seek justice and make sure that this guy rots in jail and in hell forever. The idea is, whenever crime took place, there's something disorganized. The seder, the order has been disturbed. And we're trying to just reorganize things and put them as they are. That's all. We're not trying to punish or be vindictive. And therefore, that's what we're going over. That's what we're doing over here. We're just locating the 2,000 were taken. They get back you 2,000. He made more money. That's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with you. Do you think the guy will have siyata d'shmaya that he sold it to the Prince of Monaco for 100,000? No, because money that was not earned with justice and with clean hands will not have atzlocha. Is that our business? No, that's a Kodesh Baruch Hu's business. The rest you leave to Hashem, and that's about it. Okay, we're going to listen to one question now, and then okay, we're going to listen to one question and then continue. Yes, Baruch. Basically, what we're going to see now, we saw the formula of kinyan. Have it in your mind, and maybe just write it down to yourselves. Kinyan plus shinui equals that now the Ganav owns it and he has to give back cash. Kinyan is a halachic kinyan, mashicha, agba, chotzel, plus shinui. The question is, what kind of shinui are we talking about? And that's going to be the next sugya. When we say that a shinui, a change, shinui means change, a change happened in the object, and therefore now it's a point of no return. Now it belongs to the Ganav, and all he needs to give back is the cash. And of course, he has to give back the cash. We're not living in the jungle because it says veheshiv. The question is, what kind of change? That's going to be the next sugya. I keep saying about the person who made chair out of the wood, and that's why. That's the most classic example everyone agrees to. The other cases of machlokes amoraim. The case of Gozel Eitzim Vason something, a kis, a shulchan, made a piece of furniture out of wood. That's a classical case of he did it. It wasn't a natural organic change. It's something done by the Ganav. Yeah, it's his work. So it was coined by his own Maisa Yodaim. By the way, you should know, one of the many kinyonim, which many people don't know, is Maisa Yodaim. Let's say I take wood from Hefker. I'm just taking a bit of a tangent over here. Let's say I take wood from Hefker, from the field. I take pieces of wood that don't belong to anybody, and I have no kavana to be coined them. I did not pick them up with the kavana to acquire them. So there's no kinyan done, and I made a beautiful chair out of them, or not a beautiful one. I made an ugly chair. I made a chair or a table, anything out of them. It's mine. The fact that a person created something, that, like my Megiddo and Yeshiva said, the Meshiv said, is half a joke, koin hakol. HaKadosh Baruch Hu acquires everything by creating it. Hashem created the world, that's what's called koine. You acquire something by creating. Creating and acquiring is the same. By the Ganav also, if he created a new table, it's his table. Stolen. Of course, he stole the 2,000 pieces of logs of wood, worth logs of wood. He has to give back 2,000 cash, but the table is his. He doesn't have to give back the table. The table was never owned by the original owner. That's an easy one. Now we're going to see the sugya. And again, I'm saying for the third time that there are no questions for the next few lines, because this is a Gemara which we have to concentrate very well. It's deep. It's not hard to understand in a simple level, but we're going deeper here. We're going to have Rabbi Kiveger, Pnei Yoshua. We're going to have a lot of fun today. It's an Iyun Gemara, so please try and concentrate well, and then you can ask your questions. Okay? Now let's go. Finally, Amar Biloy. Questions before that, quick or no? Amar Biloy in the last narrow line. Samechei Amud Beis. Amar Biloy. Gonav Tale V'Nasa Ayil. A person stole a young sheep, like a kid. It became a ram because he got older. In other words, time passed, and an ayil is already past a year old. He stole it when it was half a year old. It's still called a taleh. Now it's an ayil. It got bigger, fatter. We're not saying if he invested or didn't invest, maybe the animal ate naturally in the field. Now he has a bigger animal. Egel v'nasa show. He didn't buy. He stole it when he was an egel. Actually, he bought it. He was a Kenyan gzela. He pulled it when he was a calf. V'nasa show became a bull. Nasa shinui beyodoi. Now the fact that the animal is significantly bigger and different from a child, so to speak, from a cub, whatever, became an adult, that's called a shinui. So now we have a Kenyan plus shinui, and you all know the formula. Kenyan plus shinui means the knoi, it says, now, of course, he has to pay the cash. Tova chumocha. Let's say now he took those animals and let's say the show, Tova chumocha, he either slaughtered it or he sold it on. Shelohu tovech, shelohu moicher. He does not have to pay arba v'chamisha. Why doesn't he have to pay arba v'chamisha? Now, after the change of age / status of the animal, which we'll discuss later, the animal belongs to him. Since the animal belongs to him, of course, he has to pay for either big or small. That we'll discuss later. But lemaisa, now an adult animal is not something he has to give back. It's true. It's an organic change. It's a natural change. We were all children, became adults, very nice. So do the animals. But lemaisa, it's a new animal. That animal wants tova chumocha. Tvicha mechir doesn't apply to that. Tvicha mechir, the Achronim explain, has to follow gneva straight. The same thing I stole is the same thing that I slaughtered, the same level, same age. On the slaughtering, I'm chayav to pay now 4 or 5, whether it's a ram or a bull. Yeah. But if it was X and became a bigger X, which is significantly different, that's a whole new bria. Now it belongs to the ganav. Of course, he has to pay the cash. Don't worry. But lemaisa, the tvicha mechira is done to something that now belongs to him. It belongs to the ganav. So says Rabbi Eloi the Amoire. That's Rabbi Eloi's opinion. Rabbi Chanina asks Rabbi Eloi from a brisa, and Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Eloi, who, they're going to be fighting big time today. Never seen such a thing. Rabbi Chanina asks Rabbi Eloi from a brisa. Look what the brisa says. Ganav tole says in the brisa is stronger than Rabbi Eloi. Rabbi Eloi is an Amora from Israel. Exactly your case. He stole a tale, young sheep, a kid, matured, became a ram, got a bar mitzvah. Egel v'nasa show was a calf and became a bull. Mishalem tashlume kefel v'tashlume arba v'chamisha v'tashlume arba v'chamisha v'tashlume arba v'chamisha. They'll say it 4 or 5 times. The brisa says you do pay 4 or 5. Ke'en shagonav, and you know how much you pay the kefel and arba v'chamisha. First of all, you pay it. That's exactly against the Eloi. That's in the face of against what you're saying. You're saying there was a change, and you don't pay arba v'chamisha because the slaughtering was done to my animal. That's already out of the boundaries already of the original owner. The brisa says not like that. The brisa says you do pay arba v'chamisha. Besides the fact, it also says how much is the kefil of arba v'chamisha? You have to pay like the original time. You have to pay like, you know how you have to pay? You have to pay 4 or 5 kids as they were young. Now that's a problem with Rav. Remember Rav? Don't forget Rav. I made you a chart and I emailed it to you and you all got it, I'm sure, and you reviewed it. And what did we say? Rav says that the original keren, the basic price you have to pay to the original, chaim and gneva chaim. But the kefal bava chamisha, you have to pay like when you slaughtered. And here we say, not like that. We'll discuss that later. Let's discuss Rav later. It's confusing enough. But Lamaisa, he's asking now a question against Rabbi Eloi. Forget about when you pay. Lamaisa, you pay. Even though it's an adult animal, you claim an adult animal is a whole new creature and belongs to me now. No. The Bible says analogy. Look at the Gemara. Continue the Gemara. Line starts with Bishinui. If you think that you acquired it through the change, the natural organic change of adulthood, and you say belongs to the Ganev, Amay Mishalim, why should he pay? Shaloyu Toveach, Shaloyu Moicher. He is slaughtering or he is selling his own thing. Isn't what you said, Rabbi Eloi? The kids are Rabbi Eloi. I'm so sorry, but the brisa seems to be against you. So, frekt Rabbi Chanina attacking Rabbi Eloi. Omerle, you're being very nice today. Omerle answers now. Rabbi Eloi comes to defend himself, and he's not exactly saying the brisa is wrong as of now, but now he's saying he's attacking back, and he says, "Ve'elamai shinui loikoni." You want to tell me that the change was not koine? What are you coming to advocate, Rabbi Hanina? Instead of attacking me, what are you saying? Are you saying that a natural shinui? By the way, Tosfos points out, you can see it in Tosfos if you wanted the short one. I'm not reading it inside. Everybody agrees that the real change, if I took wood, coarse grass wood, and I made it into a chair, and I even, whatever, varnished it, everyone agrees that's shinui. That's a whole new creation made of the person. The argument over here is, do we or don't we say that natural change, such as age, we all age, right? That the question is that called shinui? Is that called a whole new reality or no? Does it now belong to the Ganev or no? Correct? Now, answers Rabbi Lo. Rabbi Lo says yes. Rabbi Lo says it's a shinui. Says Rabbi Lo to Rabbi Chanina, you're attacking me from a brisa? Your brisa anyhow doesn't make sense. I'm spoon feeding you now because that's what the Achronim explained. Your brisa doesn't make sense anyways. You know why? You want to say shinui is not koine? Amay mishalem ki ein shegonav. Why is he paying like the original time of the Gneva l'shalem ki hashta? Which means, why shouldn't he pay like now? You told me, let's say in Tishrei, the animal was a kid. 2 months later, a year later, okay? It was a year by him, a year by the Ganev, the name of a novel, a year by the thief. Yeah? Now, it became an ayil, and you're telling me what? That it's not a shinui. Wait a second, if it's not a shinui, and therefore you have to pay for the tzvicha mechira, is that so? Why is he paying like the original time? He should pay like now. Because remember what we said about the person who breaks the barrel? A person who stole a barrel of wine worth 100, now it's worth 400. Viciously, bad boy. He drank it or broke it on purpose. So now is the real gneva. Now you brought it to a point of no return. If so, if you're telling me that the kid that became a big ram is not a change and it keeps being owned by the original owner because it's just an organic change, if so, why do you say that you have to pay like the original time? You should pay like now. Because all the time, an entire year belongs to Reuven is the original owner. You shechted it one morning, came the knife and you shechted it. You slaughtered Reuven's big ram. So pay like a big ram. Because it's like breaking, absolutely. It's like breaking the chovis that's worth 4. Everyone agreed that if I on purpose break the chovis when it's more expensive, that's what I have to pay for. If so, make up your mind, Mr. You and your, I'm not saying Mr. Rabbi Lo is going to use bad language for Rabbi Chanina soon. In other words, you Rabbi Chanina, make up your mind. How can you say, if it's considered to be the original owner all the time until adulthood, so when I shechted at the point of adulthood, I should pay like the point when I shechted it. Omalei. So now Rabbi Chanina is answering Rabbi Lo. You know why he doesn't pay like now? Mishum the Omalei, the Ganev can tell the person, I'm not going to pay for 4 or 5 times an adult ram. I'll pay like 4 or 5 little kids that I stole a year ago. You know why? Because you can tell him, rhetorically, did I steal a big bull from you? Did I steal from you a zachar, a big ram? No. What I stole was a small one. Interesting. So Bichanina somehow is, as we say in Yiddish, dances on both weddings. Bichanina says no. On one hand, we say that there's no kinyan. There's no kinyan when it naturally became an adult and we celebrated its first birthday, making it, or second, whichever way you count. Yeah, from becoming an ayil. Yeah, an ayil is 2 years old. Yeah. No, sorry, an ayil is a year and a month old after Pilgas. He became an ayil. It's a year and a month old. Very nice. Became an ayil, says Rabbi Chanina. On one hand, we say it still belongs to the original person because it's just an organic change. I didn't do anything about it. It's something natural. It's not really called change so ex nihilo from A to Z dichotomically. No, it's a whole natural thing. So it's not a change. So I really have to pay 4 or 5 times. On the other hand, how do I pay? I pay like the original. Because Lamaisi, what I stole from you was a little kid, not a big one. And now the Mitzias, it's a different animal. Omerle, listen to what Rabbi Lo replies to Rabbi Chanina. Wow, that's very strong words. Yeah, some of the fortune say that he shouted it. In other words, you're saying Hashem should save us God should salvage and save us from such words. In other words, what you're saying doesn't begin to make sense. Why? Explain the Pnei Yeshua, explain the Kivega. I saw yesterday, Baruch Hashem, both of them, and they say in different words what I told you before. I can accept Svara X or Svara Y, but when you contradict yourself, Rabbi, you don't make sense. Make up your mind. If it's a change, then don't pay at all. And if it's not a change and it belongs to the original owner all the time, so pay him like you stole now. Slaughtering is stealing, and therefore pay like a 4 or 5 big rams, or don't pay at all. Make up your mind. How can you play ball? How can you have the cake and eat it and say it's a change, but not enough of a change? Omerlei. Now we're still in a very, very dangerous. You know, in North Korea, they have some very big punishments. Omerlei. So Omerlei answers Rabbi Chanina to Rabbi Eloi. Adraba. On the contrary, Hashem should save us from your opinion. Wow. In other words, I have a brisa to support me. First of all, I believe there is middle of the road here. A change can work middle of the road. And secondly, I have a brisa on my side. You don't. That's the end of the basic conversation between Rabbi Eloi and Rabbi Chanina. We're going to have a very short respite now, and you can ask your questions a little bit now. Yeah, Moshe was very quick on the draw, as usual. Sugya. 2 dots. Line starts with the word didach. Maskif lo Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera is now attacking. He's attacking and he's more pro Rabbi Eloi. What did we say up until now? We're not sure whether the natural change of becoming bigger, fatter, is called a real change or not. And that makes sense. No, just because a person has 20 kilos more, hopefully it doesn't make him a different person, yeah? Now comes the question from a different angle. Rabbi Zera is attacking now. Don't write challenge, attacks. Maskif lo Rabbi Zera, v'nikninu b'shinui Hashem. He should really acquire it because it's called a different name. It's not a bigger animal. It's not a bigger cow. It has a different halachic name, which makes a difference for a korban, for example. Sometimes a person, where is he, Yaakov? Let's say a person has to bring a korban osham. Sometimes a person, osham is only brought from one type, that's a male ram. Sometimes you bring a male ram, and sometimes a male kevis, a younger one, a kid. And some korbanos require an adult called ayil, and some korbanos require a younger one called kevis or taleh or kevis, which means halachically a young one and an older one are called halachically different with a different name to them. And that should be a difference. It's not because the Tim McKenzie says, oh, I see your little kid grew up, it's a big ram. No, the Torah says a kid is a kid and a ram is a ram. And if so, that's called Shinui Hashem. It has a different halachic title, a different halachic definition. If so, that should be a change, even though it was organic and natural, and he's supporting Rabbi Eloi more. Rava comes and speaks against everything I said. Show ben Yomiko show. Wow. Even though a young kid is a young cow is called egel many times, it's also called show. We're going to see soon that a kid, a 1-day-old cow, which would called egel, calf, in halacha, in Torah, is also called show. So really, from day one, it was called show, egel, 2 names, egel, show. Now it became a show. It keeps being a show. So the change of name is not really significant. Let's continue. Ayil ben Yomi Koru Ayil. A day-old ram is also called a ram. It's also called a taleh or kevis. It's also called an ayil. And I'll prove it to you. Show ben Yomi Koru show. How do you know that a day-old, once born, it's already called a show like an adult? It says in the parsha over there about in Emel, I think, when you can only bring a korban when the animal is how old? 7 days old. And it says a show. We read this parsha in the Chagim, right? Show, okay, so as ki voled. What's ki voled in Hebrew? Please help me to translate. Once born. Show, once born. It doesn't say egel, once born. Show, once born. So we see once born, he's mazel tov, just came out of the womb. He's called a show. Ayil ben yomai karo ayil. And a day-old ram is called a ram, like an adult. It's also called other names, but also a ram. Dichtiv. It says when Jacob relates his story to Laban, when Yaakov talks to Lavan, and Yaakov gives it on the head to Lavan and tells him, I was a very, very loyal shepherd, I was a very loyal servant, and we learn halachas from there. What does Yaakov tell Lavan when he is already in his high level fed up? I never ate from the ayalim of your tzon, from the rams of your flock, of your cattle. Elim udelo ochal kvosim ochal. Is Yaakov saying, I never ate the big ones, but he ate the small ones? Is Yaakov like Chas v'Sholom, a small thief, like a pickpocket? He takes from the small animals, not the big ones. Elalav must be shmamino ayil ben yom ayil. In other words, for sure, a day-old ayil, when Yaakov said, I never ate a ram, I never illegally stole a ram, even though I'm a shepherd, and shepherds tend to be ganovim, which we saw the Vasra. Yeah, we saw the Vasra, roim, ganovim, many of them. My roy is also. A roya, many times they steal the sheep or they steal food, whatever. Yaakov says, I never stole an ayil from your flock. And obviously it means a day old either. It's very easy to steal a new one, a little one. Yeah. I never stole anything. The Kitzur Rava says Shinui Hashem, maybe Shinui Hashem in future sugyas it may be effective. But right now, for a day old ayil or a day old show, they're treated as adults. Yeah. Look, a baby is called a baby, a day old baby, a newborn. Yeah, but he's also called a human being. He's also called a Homo sapien, whatever. He's called a human being. Once, yeah. Listening? Yeah. Sure. That's called change or not called a change. Yeah, there is a question whether it's called change or not, but just because it has a different name to it, that alone is not called a different name. Mikol Makom Kasha. Perek the Gemara, at the end of the day, yeah, we're 5 lines before the bottom of the page. At the end of the day, we're really stuck. We have a brisa here that doesn't make sense. We have a brisa, the Rachmana Litzlan brisa. The brisa tells me on one hand what? That if the little one became a big ram, then I have to pay for above chamisha. Above chamisha means what? That it's not a change. If it's not a change, why do you pay like the big one, like the small one? And it's difficult on Obilo on the other hand. Obilo makes sense, but the brisa is against him. Amav Sheshas, Homani B'Shamahi. This brisa is a B'Shamai. The Amri Shinu Bimkoimoi Oimet Veloi Kani. The Shammai are of the opinion that Shinu of this kind, at least, or maybe other types of Shinu Bimkoimoi Oimed, we should say Oimed, not Omedes, Veloi Kani. The Shammai did not believe don't entirely believe in the concept of Shinui. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. In this case, they are the masters of the Brisa. And therefore, they think that a Shinui is really not a good Shinui. You can still ask on B'Shamai that they don't make sense, but at least Rabbi Lo is off the hook. Rabbi Lo, Ellen, does not have to respond to a B'Shamai Brisa, because I think, I'm not sure, but my rabbi taught me that Basila and the B'Shamai Locha is like, we all know that not only that, the Gemara says, except for a few cases, the Gemara says if you pass it like B'Shamai, you'll be punished. It's more in Mishnah in Brachas, the second Mishnah in Brachas. Rabbi Tarfon acted like B'Shamai, and robbers came and almost threatened his life as a punishment. They're not allowed to go with B'Shamai. B'Shamai are Kivyochol B'Cherim, halachically. And therefore, because his brisa follows B'Shamai, Rabbi Lo says, he doesn't have to care about it. Rabbi Chanina may follow the brisa. That's a different question. He believes maybe in this case the brisa is right because Misvara, he believes the Shinu is not going, and we're still stuck, by the way, with an internal problem with the brisa. Let's leave that for later. But Lamaisa, the Gemara will deal with that too very nicely. But Lamaisa, Abilo himself, the fact that Abilo is against the brisa, you can all sigh of relief because now the brisa is a B'Shamai brisa. Shamai brisa does not obligate, so to speak, Abilo or any other Amoira. If it's very quick and to the point. I said, because Rabbi Chanina may believe that this brisa, the Chronim say, he may believe that here B'Shamai happened to be right, because Misvah, he thinks they're right. It's not because he follows them, because their Svara makes sense to him. It's not like a Krishma, this one. They happen, great minds think alike. That's what he would say. Titania, how do we know that B'Shamai don't follow Shinu, which is a Chiddush? Because later on we'll see that there's Psukim in the Torah. How do we say? Titania, let's see the following brisa, which will explain to us exactly what's the story with B'Shamai and Shinui. Nosan lo bes, no. It says in the Bible, it says in Parshas Kiseitze, if a person gives a zoyna, a harlot, a person gives a zoyna her money, it's a special word in Hebrew for that, in the Torah and in modern Hebrew, as far as I know. Etnan is money given to a woman of ill repute. And what? He gave her money. He gave her not money. No. He gave her what? Like Yehuda wanted to give Tomo. He gave her a sheep. He gave her a goat. He gave her a calf. He gave her a cow. whatever, depends how much work she did. And now she wants to bring that as a korban. The Zoyna herself, she wants to bring a korban to Beis Hamikdash. Why not? She had a successful month. Now she wants to say thank you to Hashem. She wants to bring what the money she got to Beis Hamikdash, not the money. Not the money. Keep saying money. She brings the animal. The client gave her an animal. She brought the animal to Beis Hamikdash. We spoke a few times. Of course, it's not allowed. It says Lotovi Esnan Zoino and also Mechir Kelev Beis Hashem Elokecha. Yeah, Kitoya Vas Hashem. I'm not quoting the Pasuk Stam. It's important for the Hemshech Sugya. Gam Shneim. Both an Etnan Zona and a dog are To'eva. A dog is a To'eva. A dog. Now I'm happy. Finally, yeah. A dog is like an abomination thing, and therefore, if somebody switched or swapped a dog for directly from a dog to a sheep, yeah, I gave my dog to you and you gave me your sheep, that sheep is treif for the korban, for mizbech. You can't use that sheep for the mizbech, but that's not the point right now. The man gave Zoino etnan, and now nosan besnono chitin. He didn't give her sheep. What she gave her the sheep? She needs chitin. He gave her grains, kernels of shechita, of wheat. Baston, not a stone. The real version here, someone said is a stone. She made it into soilus. She made it into flour. Yeah. She basically, what did she ground? She grounded it or grinded it? How do you say grind in the past? She ground it, and she made it into flour. Zaysim. He gave her olives. Baston, shemen. She's an industrious girl. She works in many jobs. And now she made oil out of the olives. Anovim, he gave her grapes. Baston yain, she made wine out of that. The question is, can she bring that to Beis Hamikdash or not? Do we say that since originally it's machlokas, my friend? Well, you know the halach already. She changed it. That's shinui, hey, shinui, like the party. So wait, that's this. Lat. She took the original money that she got for her work, yeah. And now what? She changed it. It was grapes. Now it's wine. It's all new reality. It's a new bracha. Now she's gonna make Priyagofen. It's all new thing. And what? Can she bring that to Beis Hamikdash? Can she bring a transformed esnan, the harlot's money, in a new form to Beis Hamikdash? Oil and wine and solas are all brought to Hamikdash. Can't she bring it to Beis Hamikdash or no? Do we say her dark past of that item follows it? Or do we say that shinui makes a difference? Tani chada osu, tani chada mutar. As Yitzchak says, always machloikas, yeah? One Tana holds she cannot bring that esnan. It keeps the status of pich, of abominational esnan, and the shinui does not help. The tani chada mutar. Another brisa says it's allowed, not that she's a good girl, but mutar, it's allowed to bring that to Beis Hamikdash because it has been changed. Rama of Yosef, but who says what? Rama of Yosef says of Yosef, Tani Gurin of the Masporak, Gurin of Asporak says, B'Shamai Oisrin, B'Silal Matiril. Aha! You see that B'Shamai, they forbid the new item that has been the C word changed. Even though it was changed originally at the end of the job, what she did for the man, what did he give her? He gave her what? Kernels. She completely changed it. She made flour. Says Beth Shammai, we don't believe in change. We don't think change makes a difference. So that's Beth Shammai. These are the same Beth Shammai that over here would be the masters of the brisa. That brisa that says that a little kid that became a ram is not different halachically, that's because they don't think change makes a difference. Says Tosfos, maybe it's only because by Esnan, Beis Hamikdash being more strict, yeah? Answers Tosfos, no. Says Tosfos, according to Beth Shammai, shinu should be a whole different item. Why should we say it's disgusting for Hashem? If we say that shinu is koine, and the person doesn't have to give back the chair, doesn't have to give back the wine, doesn't have to give back the new item, it's a whole new thing, a whole new start with no history. Why should Hashem care? Elamai, we see Beth Shammai hold that Hashem does care, which means that because we have a change here, the change, according to Beth Shammai, doesn't make a difference. Now, we're going to bring sources for that. My time at the Beth Shammai. Why is really the Beth Shammai hold that in the case of Esnan that a change does make a difference? I would say otherwise. Maybe the change does make a difference. You can't just say Beth Shammai decided. What makes them decide that? What are they basing themselves on? Dichtiv, Gam. I read you the pasuk before. It says at the end of the pasuk there, Toivas Hashem, Gam Shneim. Gam is kilu and. both of them. Shnei means both. Gam is an extra word. What's gam? Also both of them. What's also? What's coming to say? Says B'Shamai or say B'Shamai l'Rabbi Shinuyayim. He comes to tell you to add l'Rabbis to include also the shinui, not only the actual etnan in its original form. Gam Shneihem, Gam comes to tell me also a changed esnan is dochen esnan, is still osir. And from here we learn the kolator kula that a change does make a difference, or at least not always. Basilel. Now we start a small ping pong here. What do Basila say with the word gam? Basila says she can bring the korban. Yeah, it was what grain. She very nicely ground it into flour. Now it's flour. She can bring it to Beis Hamikdash. Maybe she'll do tshuva. And then what Basila say? No problem. Excuse me, Basila. What do you do? Where do you learn that from? Doesn't say gam. It says no. Hem v'lo shinuyayim. It says gam shneihem. It's also an extra word. The end of the shneihem is hem. Of course, I know them. It's in plural. Why do you have to add the word hem? Hem comes to exclude the shinui. Only hem. Only the original esnan, be it esnan or kelev, is only the original is the problem. Once you changed it, then it's okay. Now, what would B'Shamai do with the word hem? Important to know. Let's say that Zoina, she got for her job, what did she get? A female sheep, yeah? And the sheep gave birth. Mazel tov. Say B'Shamai, even though we're strict with Shinui, she can bring the new baby born to the female sheep. She can bring that to Beis Hamikdash. The Vlad, the born, the second generation Esnan, they don't carry with them the dirty name of the Esnan, and they can be brought to Beis Hamikdash. Hem v'lo which shows you again the Shammai are only machmir and shinui. They're not stam machmir. If she took the grains, made them into flour, praise. She took the grapes, made them into wine, praise. Because shinui, they don't believe it's the same item, the same molecules in a different form. In Hebrew, there's a Moshe, I'm sure knows it. It's the same thing in how do you say it in English? Same garbage, excuse my language, dressed differently. It's the same thing, yeah. It's just in a different form. It's not really different. It's the same molecule. You know, a scientist would look into the anav, into the into the same matter, and therefore B'Shamai say it's the same. Shenken the Vlad is the whole new thing, and it can bring it to Beis Hamikdash. Now let's just finish the ping pong. Yeah, very good. Will's not brought to Beis Hamikdash, but conceptually yes. Wool of sheep, B'Shamai L'chor would say still not called shinu. B'Silel tarti shmas minei. B'Silel say no. We learn from the word hem two things, to exclude two things and allow two things. Hem v'lo shinuyim, hem v'lo v'lo. Very simple. When the Torah says don't bring them, twice, the Beis Hamikdash means only the esnan itself should be brought, excluding a new form of esnan, like wine from grapes, and excluding the baby of the sheep. Neither change nor second generation are treif. They're both okay for Beis Hamikdash. Perek the Gemara Beis Hillel ksiv gam. According to Beis Hillel, what do you do with the word gam? The word gam come to l'chora include one more item and tell us that it's osir. The Shammai are very good. They say gam comes to tell me what? The shinui also the shinui as well as the original is also osir for Beis Hamikdash. Says the Gemara gam the Beis Hillel kasha. Beis Hillel say true. You know what? We don't have anything in the word gam. The word gam is difficult for Beis Hillel, but Beis Hillel, they're always the winners, and therefore they don't care so much. Beis Hillel say we don't know what to do with the word gam, a good kasha, but that's what we got from our Rebbeim. Our Rebbeim taught us the apostle comes to teach me hem excluding changes, hem excluding babies, and only the esnan itself, whichever form the thing itself is also, nothing else. That's what Beis Hillel say. However, Beis Shammai say no. Shammai say that once it was changed, it still retains the original status of esnan. And the same thing would be over here, says the Gemara. We assume that this brisa is alleged to Beis Shammai, and we say that this brisa, which was funny according to Rabbi Elah, is a Beis Shammai brisa, which Rabbi Elah would say, okay, Beis Shammai brisa, what do you want me to do? It's not difficult for me. And therefore, I hold that Taled became Ayil, and that's a Lochin Shulchan Aruch. So Shulchan Aruch yesterday, Taled became Ayil, is considered, yes, a Shinui, and therefore the person now is the owner of the ayil, and all he has to give back is cash for the whichever stage we'll discuss later. But the ayil itself stays in his house because it's a new reality. I didn't do anything about it. Don't do about, some guys are lucky. Some guys have all the luck, as it says. Yeah, now, okay, good. A question, okay. Yeah, a little round of questions now, and then we'll break the Gemara. In the fourth line of Samech Vav Amud Aleph, Ad kan lo pligi ela de malsavar shinui koine umalsavar en shinui koine. Like Ellen summarized very nicely, the whole difference is the whole question between Obilon and Bichanina, following Basil B'Shamai. Do you believe that the shinui changed or didn't change? Which means will he or won't he pay 4 and 5? Aval Inyan Shlumi. When it comes to the actual payment of if he has to pay, let's say he does have to pay the double everyone says he has to pay, by the way, right? The Bava Chamisha would say no, because I slaughtered my own, says Rabbi Lo. But kefil, everyone says he has to pay. Obviously, kefil you pay for stealing. Whether you stole yesterday or you stole 20 years ago, you have to pay kefil always. Kefil is an actual theft, even though there was change afterwards. Avalinian Shlumi, when it comes to how much you pay, Kula Alma seems to be a consensus that everyone was happy with. It seems like everyone says that he pays the kefil, and sometimes Arboa B'Chamisha, if you believe that's the case, you pay the kefil like the original diktani, which says it says in the brisa, and that point of the brisa below seems to be very happy about. It says that the double payment of the 4 and 5 and all these scary knossos, you pay like the original time of theft. Remember Rav from last week from the chart from Daf Samechei? What did Rav say? The Omar Rav, Keren Shen Shagonav. Keren says, Rav, you have to pay the basic payment you have to pay like it was worth a year ago. Because it says Chaim and Gneva. You revive it to the original time of Gneva. But Mishalem Tashlumi Kefel v'Tashlumi Arbob Mishalem, comma. Tashlumi Kefel v'Tashlumi Arbob v'Chamish Shekshas Amod Bedin. Boom. Rav is the one who said when it comes to Kefel or 4 and 5, you have to pay regardless to the shechita. You have to pay for the time when you're being judged, when you're summoned to court. Meaning, when actual court case takes place, which could be 3 months later, a year later, 2 years later, that's when you have to pay like the end of the story, not the beginning of the story. And that seems to be like the Bryce is against Rav, which we touched on that before. So besides everybody else, Rav from the previous sugya seems to be stuck. Rav said that the kefel, there's no gzer sakosov on kefel, right? Kefel, there's no gneva v'chaim. It's a new kind of payment. You have to pay like now, like the current value. The Bryce seems to be saying not like that. The Bryce says you have to pay kefel or Bava Chamisha. Can't you go of the original time? What's going on? Omar Merubeh says Merubeh. Merubeh answers like that. Tloim kidemi kore, domim keshel achshov. Interesting. You have to see now Tosfos. I'll just translate to English and then we'll see Tosfos. Tloim you pay like the original price. The money you pay like now. Says Tosfos. Nirelari. Look at the second Tosfos. Tloim kidemi kore. We'll have to see 2 parts of the Tosfos. Tosfos Tloim kidemi kore. It's the second Tosfos in the page. Nirelari says Ridachi Perusha. Reese thinks that this is the pshat. The linear toll of nasa ayil. When it comes to the animal naturally changing, there are 2 changes in the animal. Let me give you an introduction. What happens if, and that's very common, let's say the animal got bigger. Well, most of us become older and fatter. Yep. I have a birthday on Wednesday. You can bring me a gift. Yeah, why not? On Wednesday, a book about diet. Yeah. So now the person or the animal, they got bigger or fatter. Okay, good. Yofi. Also, there's change in the market, regardless, right? In other words, let's say the market shot up and all the mutton meat became more expensive, young and old, but there are 2 changes in the body and in the market value. Now, how do you calculate that? Says Tosfos, Nirelari, Dachi Perusha. Lenient toll of nasa ayil, a little one that became a ram, a chushav nispatmo, a thin one emaciated, became fat, or an ipcha, or the other way, the shalom kefel nami b'chanabo b'chamisha k'demi kora moi keren. The kefel of the how fat it is, the reality of the animal, you have to pay like the mikora k'moi keren. You have to pay like the little kid that you stole. In other words, like Rav. Rav says if you stole a small kid and became a big fat ram, yeah, you have to pay double or 4 or 5, like as if you stole a little kid, a little goat, a little sheepy, a small one, because like the Karen, that's a double you pay. Aval domim, but the money, the value, the market value, kishel achshov, you have to pay like now, which means, let's say 2 things happened. The animal got bigger and fatter, and also the market price went up regardless of the age. All animals of all ages became more expensive. You know how much you pay? You calculate both. I'm continuing. Shishamin oysa telesh shas gneva, lefi gadlusa kudnusa shas gneva, lefi yuko vezulo dehashto. Boom, which means you, says Rav, and soon we'll explain why. We're going to jump to the next part of Tosfos. Says Rav, like says the Gemara to protect Rav, to defend Rav like this. Rav is right and the Bryce is right. Everyone's right. Everyone's happy. When it comes to the reality of the animal, to the size of the animal, what did you steal? You stole a little one. The Torah says how much you have to pay. You have to pay the kefil, like a little one. Yeah, mikore. You have to pay the size of how you stole it. You stole a schnips, a little, I don't know, 3 kilo one. Now it's 9 kilo. You pay for little kids 3 kilo size. The value you go like now. The value of the market value, you have to pay like now. So now you have a 9 kilo big one, yeah, which is also more expensive. You have to pay like a small kid of 3 kilos by the market value of now, of let's say a half year later. You do both. Yeah. Why? Says Tosfos, I'm now jumping the line. Yeah. In the second line of the wide lines of Tosfos, he says, Domim. Yeah. It says, let's read the wide line of Tosfos. Im ein gneva ein tvicha, from the end of the line. Domim shekoli kom tluim b'shumas beis din. The value has to do with the evaluation of beis din. At the beginning of the second wide line. The market value, if you notice, the Torah never talks about it. So we go excuse me for saying the secular way. Svarahu, the mukminan behu, yeah, it's a svara. You go by the market value of now. That's what based in Asham. Right now, you have in your possession a kid that's worth every 3 kilos of it is worth 100 shekels, not 50 like before. Pay like now. Yeah. Mukmin achi lekeren. The chiddush of reviving lekeren dafka ken shegonav, yeah, which means basically the idea of kefel as having to be paid like the original goes like the achia lekeren. You revive the keren and together with it you revive the kefel, which means what's reviving? You go back to the original amount that was worth then mitzad the size. Kefel goes with the keren. But the evaluation is done like now. Because evaluation is not part of the psukim of the Torah. It's not a technical thing. You go by now. In Mimela, Rav is right, and the Bright is also right. That's beside the size of the animal, and that's beside the market value of the animal. That's what the Ri says over here. Okay? Yes. No. There are 2 ways to evaluate it. There are 2 factors, there are 2 variables in the equation, X and Y. The size, which changed, and the price that changed. Of course, you pay double, as every gun of us pay double. Obviously.
Original size, or the market value?
Both. Well, no, it's not 2 doubles. When you calculate the double on what? Let's say X times 2 equals Y. What's X? X itself is comprised of 2 factors, the size and the value, which means, says the Gemara now, be the size you go like the original. The size you go like the Shalom Kefel Mikore, like the Keren. Why? Because everybody knows that the Keren has to be like the original, Chaim and Gneva. Kefel is double of what I stole. I stole a little kid. I stole a 3 kilos kid. That's all I stole. I'll pay now like 2 kids. How much is the worth of a kid? That we take the time tunnel to now, 6 months after the actual occurrences when he stands in court, and that's just a secular evaluation. You evaluate, let's see the way he has to return it now. Now he has to return money. He has to return a 3 kilo kid. We don't have to go to the internet and check how much it was worth half a year ago. That's a pain in the neck. Beis says we're doing a very regular secular Sephardic evaluation of how much is a 3 kilo worth. Now 3 kilo is worth 100 shekel and not 50, your loss. Or the other way, it's your gain. We go. Ein ladain al mashen avos to go up by now. It's not double. Now he doesn't pay 4 times over. He pays double by bringing into the equation the value of now and the size of before. And I just explained why. Nothing is obvious in this Perek, but
the market value should be much more now.
no, things go down in price, my friend. No, we evaluate a kid of now versus a kid of 6 months ago. A kid, because he stole a kid, he has to pay double for a kid, like two little goats, 2 little sheep. But how much is a little sheep goes by now? It can go down. Excuse me, I'm not a big financialist person, but as people are into finances, they'll tell you many things go down and many things go up. It's, of course, but the market value changed from a year ago of all the little kids. Of course, of course. What are you talking about? A little goat, a day old or months old, which you stole half a year ago. So 50 shekel now is worth 100. Didn't you hear about inflation? Excuse me, Marks and Spencer suit 30 years ago in London and today in London is the same price? Yes or no? No. It's definitely many more pounds now than 30 years ago. Yes, it's called inflation in French. That's what's going on over here. That's it. You look at the kid as a little kid because that's what he stole. In that respect, we get stuck on the past because that's Lamaisa what he stole, and Karen and Kefal are hand in hand. Now we have to see, well, how much is a kid worth in the market of now? Either more or less. And that's what we do by now. The Mela Rav is good and the price is good. You're getting me excited. It's good. Good start for the week. Okay. Thank you. Shiur's over. And tomorrow we'll have more on the subject. It's fascinating. And thank you very much.